Hello, dear passengers. This is your captain speaking, and we are about to take off for another episode of Adventulina. Hello, everyone. How is it going? This is your girl Adventulina for another episode of my travel podcast. I just came back from my trip to Las Vegas and I'm so recharged and ready for the next 3 weeks until my November adventure. Because yes, I have the travel bug and I cannot stay at the same place for too long. Guilty. It's nice coming home after a vacation, but it's definitely nicer when I'm leaving for a vacation. Not having a trip booked makes me a little bit depressed in a way, if I have to be honest. I know it sounds weird, but I do need to look forward to something. And since my most favorite thing to do is to travel or to go to concerts, one of those needs to be currently booked in order for me to stay sane. Not having anything planned and booked makes me feel like I'm not waiting for anything, like I'm not expecting anything, I'm not excited about anything. I feel like I get stuck into the daily routine and I get kind of lost. For good or for bad, that's me, and that's why I take my trips very seriously. I know some people will recognize themselves in my words, and I'm here to tell you, don't feel bad. Don't ever feel bad for spending your money and time on the things that make you feel that way, on the things that make you happy. Remember that traveling is the healthiest addiction, so I don't mind the diagnosis. Hold on, not Christmas yet. But anyway, Las Vegas was so much fun as always. This is one of the two destinations for me, at least in the United States, where I would go back again and again because it's just so much fun and it's always different. Somehow, every time I have been to Las Vegas, I have been with different people as well. Different friends, different reasons for visiting, but always fun. In the last episode, I shared with you guys that I was also excited for Las Vegas because I was going to go to the Bulgarian restaurants there and eat like a pig. So let me tell you real quick how that went. We flew from San Francisco to Los Angeles and picked up a car to drive to Las Vegas. I love road trips and I love driving, so for me that's the perfect combination. We got to stop at a few different cool spots on our way to Vegas and kind of broke down the driving a little bit, but during the whole time I couldn't shut up about the Bulgarian restaurant and what I was going to order and how amazing it was going to be. Literally my mouth was filling up with saliva. And I was so excited. I was also excited for my friend because he had tried a few Bulgarian dishes, but this was going to be his first full experience, if you know what I mean. So here I am, driving for over 4 hours, pulling over here and there, enjoying the Mojave National Preserve, and getting more and more excited with every single mile closer to the city of Las Vegas sign. We wanted to go to the Bulgarian restaurant first as we were on the road for a while. We were hungry and we had been waiting for this shit for a while. So there we are in front of the restaurant at the parking lot, locking the car and making our way through the door. We sat and started looking at the menu, which was completely different from what I remember last time. I was like, wait, there is not even one single Bulgarian meal here. What the hell is going on? I knew they changed the name of the restaurant, but I didn't expect for the whole menu to be gone as well. Once the hostess delivered the bad news that this fucking restaurant is not even the restaurant it used to be, I was very upset, I gotta tell you. I mean, upset, downset, whatever. After hours of driving and months of craving Bulgarian cuisine, I was crushed. You may be like, bitch, don't you cook? And that's a reasonable question, but let me tell you something. It can never taste like home unless you have the right products and the authentic seasoning and everything. Which, as you can assume, I don't have in San Francisco as we lack Eastern European shit in the Bay Area in general. However, the bitch doesn't give up. I started looking for the second Bulgarian place I knew, but I had never been. It was like, okay, didn't have luck with the first one, but thank God there is another Bulgarian restaurant. So, the final goal is more important than being upset. We got into the car, we put the new location on the GPS, drove there for 20 minutes, parked, And once we started getting closer to the door of the restaurant, I knew something was off. The goddamn door was locked. Locked. I wanted to cry, literally. I was going to cry. On the door, there was a freaking note saying that the restaurant will be closed on Wednesday due to a fire inspection. I'm like, bitch, it's Thursday. I was like, yep, of course. This can literally only happen to me. From two Bulgarian restaurants in the same city that I haven't been to for a year to be unavailable. Only someone who lives thousands of miles away from home and doesn't get the chance of eating authentic food from their home country will understand the feeling. The next day, I called to make sure that the restaurant would be open, and God bless them, they were. So we had dinner on Saturday, and we left super happy and full after literally destroying several meals for a record time. The reason for going to Vegas this time was a festival, the Rice Festival. For those of you who don't know what Rice Festival is, this is an event in the desert close to Las Vegas where people gather for a massive group release of lanterns. For over a decade, events like this have been taking place in different countries, all of them at isolated places for safety purposes, I would say. I have been wanting to go to this festival for many years, but when I finally got the chance, of course, COVID hit, and then they canceled it for a couple of years. And the year after, I happened to be in Vegas for a bachelorette party 10 days before the festival was happening, so I couldn't go twice for 2 weeks. The symbolism of releasing a lantern like this, I believe most of you know, can be letting go of things. Letting go of things that are holding you back, or maybe manifesting something you really want. It's different for everybody. There's something really nice about putting your thoughts on a piece of paper that, no one will read or see. Well, kind of. For me, I didn't have to hide what I wrote on my lantern because I wrote in Bulgarian, so good luck for anyone to know what I wrote. The festival was the main purpose of the trip, and it was really exciting to be there. From the fact that you are in the desert, surrounded by mountains, through the music and the group release, to the unreal views and the after party. I really think this is something everyone should do at least once in their life. Well, at least, the people who are all about experiences like me. I don't think I would go again though, and not because I didn't like it enough to go again, but because I truly believe the second time is never as fun as the first one, for most of the things. Once you have been somewhere or have done something, you always keep that memory and first impression of this time and place. So it's really hard, not to have expectations when you go back to that place. That's why I don't like going back to places I've been to and I have seen what I want to see from. Well, already established Vegas is one of the two exceptions, but yeah. The truth is that once you have a great time somewhere, you always remember this time when you see the destination or when you are physically there. The first time will stick with you no matter how many other times you would go. Even now, 11 years later, while I was in Las Vegas, I was reminding myself of my first trip there with two friends that I spent the summer with working as J1 students. During my trip 11 years ago, we happened to run into people from my town who had also worked as J1 students during the summer. It was such a coincidence as I didn't remember seeing them often in my town, but we literally met in the heart of Las Vegas in front of the well-known fountains at Bellagio. Without getting distracted, as always, my point was, this was 11 years ago, but every time I go to Vegas, I still remember how we were driving around the city, how we went on top of the Stratosphere Hotel, currently the Strat, and how we partied in one amazing bar on the strip right across Bellagio until 4 a.m. when the security made me leave because I didn't want to put my heels on, but this is totally different story for another episode. Although this was my 5th time in Las Vegas, you would be wrong if you think I went there with no plan. Ain't no way, man. I had the festival planned. I knew I wanted to get on the High Roller, which is the new Ferris wheel on the strip. I knew I wanted to go watch the David Copperfield show, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but that wasn't enough for me to just go play it by ear. So of course, I filled up every day with different places to check out. Most of them I had already seen, but my friend had not. I added some new attractions I found on the internet, and boom, here's 4 full days of things to do. Every time I see something cool on the internet, no matter if it's on a website or on Instagram, I either save it on my phone or take a screenshot, and then I add it to a folder that I have on my laptop that has future destinations and future idea images. I divide all of those images into countries and cities, and then when I decide to go somewhere, I open the folder of the respective country and check what I have saved. Most people start searching for interesting places to see once they decide on a destination, but I would rather save everything I like, no matter which country it is in. So one day, hopefully, I get to visit the place and be prepared with ideas in advance. Back to Vegas, there are so many cool things to do without even having to spend a lot of money. Starting with the casinos and just the experience to walk around and check how different all of them are. My personal favorites are the Venetian, which by its name you can tell it was made to recreate the amazing Italian town of Venice. I also really like Wynn and Bellagio. The Fountain Show is probably in the top 3 of the attractions in the city. Fremont Street Experience is probably the craziest and one of the super fun places in Las Vegas. I would like to say you haven't seen Las Vegas until you go to Fremont. It's just another level of party and craziness that I personally find super fun and I always enjoy. Might be too much for some people though, but it perfectly fits why I go to Vegas. Back to the David Copperfield show, this was truly something I would recommend to anyone. David Copperfield is a world famous and an award winner magician, in fact, magician of the century. His talent is absolutely mind-blowing and I'm glad I got to see it live. I remember being a kid and watching magic tricks on TV Sunday afternoon, I think, if I remember correctly. It was so fun to watch and wonder how they do it. What's real and what's an illusion. I even remember watching him on TV, and this experience was, top of anything that I have seen magic related. First, the fact that I got to see David Copperfield, this living legend who definitely does not look as old as he is, made me thankful for the chance to be there, as you never know how many more years he would keep performing. Wish him all the best, hopefully many more years to entertain. Second, I have never been to a magic show like this, so it was extremely impressive to me, and to see it from the best, the one and only David Copperfield, really an honor. Our seats were amazing, in the middle of the theater, center of rows and center of sides, really in the middle. Great prices though, as you know, I'm good with finding the deals. Not Christmas yet, Jesus. Quick tip, when booking experiences in Vegas, always check vegas.com first, as they will usually give you the best price. It's a direct provider and it doesn't use third parties, so you won't be able to really find things cheaper anywhere else most of the time. Speaking of deals, as I said, you can go to a lot of places without spending too much in Vegas, especially parties and clubs. People think you have to pay crazy money for reservations, or to know someone, or to go hours earlier and wait in line. The truth is that most clubs and pool or beach parties in Vegas are free, and you can get in with the help of a promoter, who will get a commission based on how many of the people he put on the list actually go. So if you ever go to Las Vegas, before you pay for anything or book anything, search for a promoter who can give you details about the events and parties for your dates and can put you on the list for attending. Of course, events like concerts, shows, and plays are separate from that. We're talking clubs and stuff like this here. More about Las Vegas I'm going to post on my blog. I feel like after 5 times there, I can definitely put together a pretty decent, at least 5-day itinerary, so stay tuned for that. There's so many other things we did but I'm not going to only talk about Las Vegas in this episode, so let's wrap it up. I want to talk a little bit about protocols while on a plane. Yes, exactly. You think I got on a plane and didn't experience some shit happening? Of course not. Some of you would be bitch, book first class and stop complaining, and you have the right to say that, but I'm not there yet. And until I get there, I will not get tired of bitching about people who have no idea how to act on a plane in economy class. So let's talk about what makes you an asshole on a plane. No, just kidding. Let's talk about airplane protocols. Okay, so first I want to say, I'm not a hater. I usually am pretty tolerant, but sometimes there are just things that no matter how tolerant you are, it just gets into you and it's annoying as shit. Being at the airport is something not everybody likes. For some people, it can be really stressful, and I get that. The commute, the TSA, the waiting, the fear of flying if you have it, I get it. But sometimes, on top of all that, there are some so called passengers that don't make it a bit easier for you. Right, the opposite. So, how are we supposed to act at the airport through TSA and on a plane? What's considered appropriate and what's not? First of all, let me divide the first time passengers from frequent travelers. Here in the United States, people start flying very young, as most of them have families spread out in the country or they leave for college or whatever. That's not the case with all the countries though, so it's totally fine if you're in your 20s or 30s and you have never been on a plane. I myself flew for a first time when I just turned 21. And yes, I caught up after that, flying frequently, but until then, flying was not affordable for me, which I'm sure it's still the case for many people. So if you're a first-time passenger, you are forgiven. At least I forgive you. Because everyone has been there, and we should be empathetic to people who experience stuff like this for the first time, right? Everyone had their first time of what they started doing frequently, so it's not fair to judge. However, it is your responsibility as a first-time passenger to look up some information and to be prepared for what to expect. Flying for a first time doesn't mean you have to just show up completely unaware of what to expect and how to comply with the rules. You gotta put in some work and get ready. I always empathize with people who obviously don't fly often, but at least are trying. However, sometimes I see people who don't even know what they're supposed to do, but they're getting frustrated with the stuff at the airport and what's asked of them. Before embarrassing yourself and getting into stupid arguments with people who can literally ban you from flying, why not getting more familiar with those things? And I guess if you still refuse to do them after you learn them, you're just an asshole and I cannot help you. With all the information on the internet, you really have no excuse for not being prepared for almost anything nowadays. It's all there, you just have to read it. You just have to search for it. You have questions for what to put in your carry-on? Google it. Open the website of the airline. You have a question about your boarding pass? Call the airline. Don't wait until you are at the airport to inform yourself or to fix issues. It's so much more stressful if you're in a rush and things are getting complicated. While going through TSA, listen. Listen to the officers. Every airport is different. Some require you to take off your shoes, some require you to take out all big electronics like tablets and laptops. Even the scanners sometimes are different, and different lines get to take out different things from their luggage. So listen, pause the headphones for a second, you're going to keep listening to music in a few minutes, get there as fast as you can. I hate when someone is talking to their friends and has no idea what to do with the bins and they start waiting for an officer to tell them. People behind are getting impatient, and you should know because they just said it literally like 2 seconds ago. It's stressful enough that you're almost always get yelled at from TSA officers for doing something wrong, but to deal with people who didn't even bother to listen and, do what they're asked of. I also hear people bitching about not being able to take specific items with them on board, and I'm like, come on, it's 2023. You should have known by now. If you're a frequent traveler, you literally have no excuse. For real. If you are new to traveling, you should have gotten more familiar with the rules and restrictions in advance. Pushing people and running between them while dragging your luggage is only excused if you're about to miss your flight. I'm sorry. In any other case, please be respectful of other people also being in a rush, but in a normal way. Something that became relevant for the last few years, if you're taking videos or creating content for whatever reason, make sure you're not preventing people from doing their thing. I keep hearing from friends about people who would literally stand in the middle of the terminal or TSA line trying to set up their phone or tripod or take a video for social media. Cut it off. just cut it off. You're delaying people behind you for just getting likes. I understand it's a job for some people, but you still need to find the right moment. And you still need to be respectful. As we already mentioned, airports are stressful places for many people. Delays, long stopovers, and God knows how many more situations can make your stay pretty frustrating. So never judge people who sleep on the floor or on four seats or take a whole couch. You don't really know how long they have been there and what their situation is. No one wants to really sleep on the floor, so if someone is doing it, there is a reason. Respect that. It is another story though if someone is awake, browsing on their phone while lying down, taking four seats while the gate is full of people, other passengers are struggling to find places to sit, that's different. Being aware of the space you take is really important before boarding and after boarding. Don't just leave your luggage in the middle of the aisle on the gate. You prevent people from not just walking around but also from moving their luggage around. Loud phone conversations, oh Jesus, are something I would never understand. I don't know if people really can't tell the volume of them speaking or if they are deaf or they just don't care, but it is extremely annoying to listen to a 15-minute conversation about Aunt Susie's whatever and similar bullshit. Like, it's common sense. When it's kind of quiet around, it's pretty obvious when someone is making too much noise, right? Plus, I don't understand how that benefits the person who's on the phone. The whole gate gets to listen to your conversation, and I have no idea who'd want that. I personally always go somewhere no one can hear me, not because I'm sharing some FBI confidential information over the phone, but because I don't feel comfortable talking in front of people, even if it's something normal. It just feels like I'm on the spot and everyone is listening. I'm not saying don't talk on the phone while in public. Or, don't pick up your phone. I'm just saying make sure you're not being too loud and your conversation does not prevent other people at the airport from having a peaceful time. A lot of people use the time between flights to take a nap or have a moment to rest, and it really sucks when someone is so inconsiderate. Another really unnecessary thing I see people doing is cutting off other passengers on the line for boarding despite having a group assigned. So if there's someone out there who hasn't been on a plane and doesn't know how this works, once you generate your boarding pass, you get assigned to a specific group and you get to board once the group is called. Of course, some people try to sneak in with groups that board before the one they are assigned to, and that's stupid because this is not a goddamn race. It's not like the plane has limited seats and it's first comes, first serve, We all go to the same plane. We all will board. Calm down, bro. Literally, the difference between different groups boarding is a couple of minutes, sometimes even less. Of course, for larger planes and overseas flights can be longer, but still. No need to cut off. We all will board. To be completely honest, I have done this a few times, but only because me and the other person on the reservation had different boarding groups. So only in order for us to board at the same time, as it should be for people under the same reservation. Okay, boarding was successful. We are already inside of the plane. How to not act like morons is the question here. With millions of videos on the internet of people being complete idiots on board, I feel like most people should have an idea of what to do and what not to do, but let's discuss anyway. Let's also be clear, most of those things apply to people in economy, since we all know that's not the case in business and first class. You usually have separate lounges and different advantages when it comes to boarding, and you don't get to deal with most of the bullshit happening in economy when you're first or business class. Well, that's the price budget travelers pay, and I'm willing to take the shit sometimes as long as I get to travel as often as I do. So, what about seating protocol? How do you guys feel about splitting the armrests and the space on a 3-seat row, for example? Splitting equally is fair, right? Yes, when it comes to leg space. The arm space, though, is a little different. There have been a lot of arguments and discussions about this, and people get all heated up to win over them. The truth, I guess, is somewhere in the middle. A lot of people think that the middle seat gets both armrests. I'm one of these people, and I'll tell you why. It makes total sense to me because the window seat gets the window, respectively, a side to lean on, which technically is more space. The aisle seat gets the aisle and, respectively, the room to stretch, which technically is more space. What does the middle seat get? Nothing. Exactly. That's why I think it is fair to give the middle seat both armrests. However, if you ask more of the airlines, they will tell you you pay for the seat, you don't pay for the armrests, and they are not assigned to a specific seat under purchase. Well, great. Thanks for resolving that in the most unhelpful way. Basically, they gave us the green light to keep fighting about who gets them. I wish they could just say that's the rule so everyone could fall or at least try to fall, but not a perfect world, right? I don't recommend getting into an argument with other passengers over armrests. It's stupid, it won't get you anywhere, it's pointless. It will only make you feel super awkward for the next few hours, and you probably will feel bad to even ask to get up and to go to the bathroom if you're in the middle seat. If you can't get to a mutual agreement without even any verbal confirmation with a stranger, let it go. You should be able to set the rules kindly with no words and definitely without giving elbows to each other. If this is not possible, it's just not worth it. The fact that someone can be so inconsiderate to not make it comfortable for both of you says enough. Of course, if there is something worse happening and someone is fully disrespecting you, please speak up or let someone of the flight crew know. It's important to report things like this. It's important to not tolerate this kind of behavior, especially on planes. While flying, please, I'm begging you, please, do not listen to videos or whatever entertaining platforms you use on speaker. This is one of the things that genuinely pisses me off, actually everywhere, not just on a plane. Can you just put on your goddamn headphones? Is it too much to ask for? It is extremely inconsiderate and it should stop really, especially on a plane where people are trying to rest or sleep. On my last flight a few days ago, there was this guy who kept playing TikTok videos next to me, laughing and shaking his leg like crazy. I first ignored him, and then I gave him a few bad looks, and he didn't even get the hint. I don't even know he saw me. And it's not like I always want to put my headphones on, you know? Sometimes I just want to chill. I'm not obligated to put my headphones on and play music just to not be able to hear what he's playing. I don't want to listen to goddamn TikTok videos on a plane, so put your headphones on, please. Another absolute no-no on a plane for me is bare feet. Please don't do it. It's not cool for other people. It's not cool for you either. I get you need a break from your shoes or your feet hurt, but for God's sake, put on some socks at least. This way, you don't get your feet all dirty by walking on tons of shit on the floor, and you also don't bother other passengers with some kind of smell or disgusting nail situation. I always bring a pair of socks in my backpack just in case my feet get wet for some reason or if I want to take my shoes off, but this pair is always clean and it's meant to replace the shoes in a way. I also recommend wearing comfortable flip-flops if the weather is fine for that, because it's first easier for you to take them off at the TSA check, and second, it's really easy to take them off when you're on your seat as well. But again, socks please. Hair on the seat. Oh, this is another no-no that pisses me off. I'm sure you've seen it on videos across social media when people with long hair just spread their hair on the seat without even thinking about the person behind them. You can't convince me that you didn't realize what you were doing. Come on, you just don't care. So don't be mad if I accidentally clip your hair with my tray table and pull it in a painful way. After all, you put your hair there, right? So let's talk about the other type of people on a plane. The recliner is usually the person who doesn't give a shit about how much space you have behind them. They're going to recline and they won't even bother to check if it gives you enough room. Don't be that person. The leg spreader. That sounds nasty, but I don't know what else to call it. I'm talking about a person who would take all the space by stretching their legs and leaving them like this without caring about your space. Don't be that person either. The rule to the flight attendants, person for no reason. I get sometimes people are frustrated with delayed flights or different inconveniences caused by the airline. I've been there too. Sometimes you're just stressed due to the circumstances and you start being rude to the person in front of you because this is the face you see that represents the business that caused that inconvenience for you. So I get it. It's not right, but I get it. Have empathy for these people who are just trying to do their job and have no fault for what's happening. And not just at the airport, everywhere, every business. Another type of traveler, the one who is first class pretentious but flies coach. My favorite. People who have first class preferences but fly coach are just annoying to me. Asking for assistance for every single little thing, wanting the attention for no reason, acting like you own the plane. Enough. Another type of traveler is the one who stands up first thing the plane touches the ground, despite being told to stay seated and buckled up. This is something I would never understand, really. First, you are told not to unbuckle your seatbelt. Second, you're not saving yourself any time by doing it. You're just going to stand up waiting for everyone else instead of staying seated. Some people do it because of leg pain or swollen veins or a medical condition. I can see that. They need to stretch, that's fine. But not everyone struggles with those conditions, so let's just not do it. You get the aisle jammed and nothing is happening. Why not just wait patiently for the people in the row in front of us to take their carry-on from the cabins and get up right after? Easy, fast, makes sense. I'm not gonna stand up for 10 minutes just to stare at the front of the plane, waiting to see if the door is opening. I'm standing up right before I have to leave my seat. That's it. Another type of passenger, the one that tries to cut you off on your way out. So that's part of getting off the plane experience, or at least in economy class. Just like when boarding, we are all going to the same place. We all will eventually leave. Unless you have a connection flight to worry about and a flight that you may miss, please wait for the people in front of you. On my last flight this week, a woman cut me off while I was getting my carry-on and I had to move to make room for her, so I hit my head in the bin above. I was like, what the hell? Like, at least say excuse me, or can I get first please? I'm in a rush, I'm trying to catch a flight. Say anything, whatever. The leg on the aisle person. I get sometimes people are sleeping and they're not aware of their surroundings and they stretch a little bit more than comfortable for the others. But having your leg on the aisle makes it kind of hard for people to walk around. And when it's dark, you can even trip someone. So if you're awake, please keep it closer to the seat. So here are also a few types of passengers that some people get annoyed by, but I don't think it's fair. I'm trying to have empathy for those people and put myself in their shoes, so I don't consider them annoying passengers, but I think it's worth it to mention them. The overeater and the overdrinker. We all have seen those people who eat and drink on a plane like it's their last day on earth. I used to be like, okay, like why eating like a pig just to take advantage of the free food? A lot of people just eat because they don't pay for it or because they paid for it as part of the ticket, especially on long flights. I used to judge people for that, but then I guess I matured and I realized that you don't have an idea where this person is coming from, how long they haven't eaten for, how many more flights they have to catch. I fucking take all the snacks I haven't finished from a plane. You guys already know I can't survive without food on a plane, so I don't mind being judged. I'm taking all the snacks I haven't finished. Of course, I'm not going to, take a freaking heated up meal or a soup. Like we're talking something that is in a package. Not that I can't take a soup out of the plane, but still. Another kind of annoying type of passenger, but not really, the window freak. The one who gets overexcited about the view and snaps thousands of photos. But let me be clear, that's okay when you are actually sitting next to the window. It's not okay though when you sit in the middle or the aisle seat and you're trying to get a window view without even knowing the people on your row. The weak bladder. I've heard a lot of people complaining from other passengers who would go to the bathroom so many times during a flight, and I understand it can be annoying, especially on a long flight when you're trying to sleep or you're in the middle or the aisle seat, but you don't know what the case is. Again, this person may have bladder issues. I know people who literally cannot hold it if they have to go. They have to go now. This person may have to stretch due to some physical issues we already discussed. So you never know. Be kind. As long as they do it with respect to your space and it's obviously not on purpose, you shouldn't be upset. The snore machine. Snore machine. What was this song? No, it was Smoke Machine, you idiot. The snore machine. This is a contradicting one. I have a really good example that I shared with you guys in a previous episode after I came back from Niagara Falls in Massachusetts. I'm trying to be understanding. I know people are sleeping and they don't realize what they're doing, but man, they just gotta take care of this shit. It's so loud. It sounds like someone is cutting trees, and it's literally not healthy either. So the smallest problem here is you being on a plane surrounded by awake passengers. We're talking about health issues and literally a problem you may have. A friend of mine from Bulgaria had to go through a procedure about something like this. He used to snore in a horrible way that we used to make fun of. Little did we know that it was bigger than just a funny thing and an annoying thing to experience around him. So to any snoring fellow out there, take care of this, not because you have to get on a plane, but because it's health related. The screaming kid. Remember when you were a kid? Exactly. You were a pain in the ass, most likely. And kids on a plane are nothing different from you. The thing is that now you are on the other side of the situation. I know it's annoying to have to be on a plane for hours and to have to deal with crying infants or screaming toddlers, but sometimes they really are experiencing something they feel uncomfortable from, and that's their way to deal with it. Of course, there are also these kids who have been raised in a way that clearly tells you no one will, tell them they shouldn't be doing whatever, but this is a different topic. At least babies, they don't make it on purpose, right? I always think of the parents and I feel bad for them knowing that they hate it when everyone on the plane stares at them and gives them bad eyes if the baby cries. They don't want that to happen either, so, don't judge them. And with all those different types of passengers, I think I'm pretty much done. The bottom line is be kind and empathetic to people who obviously make an effort, but do stand up for yourself and do report idiots who don't comply with the main rules or treat you in an unacceptable way. If you are new to flying, know before you go. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up this episode and wish you guys a smooth and nice next experience at the airport. Follow the rules, be nice, and you have a great time. Don't forget to leave a review, rate that shit, and let me know what you want to hear from me next time. Let's get it going. And you guys stay tuned because my next episode is landing shortly. Bye-bye.